Gold has reached an all-time high, and on April 12, 2024, it got up to $2,448, and that's unprecedented. We've never seen it anywhere near that price. Gold always fluctuates back and forth, and especially during tough times, the price of gold typically goes up, especially when you have some kind of economic turmoil or you have a lot of inflation. Even during COVID, a lot of the gold prices went up, but not near where they're going up today. We're going to take a look at why the prices are going up. Should you buy precious metals? Or should you invest in precious metals? First off, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not going to tell you really what you should do, but I will tell you what I do, and I'll tell you a few pointers if you are looking to get into precious metals. I've been doing this for a number of years. In fact, we owned a jewelry store and when I grew up, and we made jewelry at the time, handcrafted jewelry. And during that time, the price of gold was around $300 to $350 an ounce. Guys, right now it's well over $2,300 an ounce. And as gold fluctuates back and forth, we're seeing a trend where it'll come down, but it'll never reach levels that are really low. It's still staying high, even when it comes down in price. Before, though, I get started, if you are looking just to invest, this is not the video for you. This video is mainly for those who are concerned about our future, concerned about the direction of the world in itself, and want to have some physical gold and silver, precious metals, put back. Gold and silver have been the currency of even ancient civilizations, so it is still currency even today, and it's recognized to have value. It's honestly a commodity. But one of the things about gold and silver is that when you have it in your hand, you're able to continue to function. You're able again to have some wealth, whereas dollar bills, especially we're seeing it with inflation, are losing value. So when the price of gold goes up, your dollar value is going down. First of all, I recommend having cash on hand. Not a whole lot of cash, but you want some just in case there's a power outage, there are things that happen. And initially, in even an economic downturn, cash is going to be very important. But you don't want to have all your money tied up in cash. Number one is that inflation will eat it. Number two, if you have some kind of catastrophe of a fire or something like that, it can burn this up. The one thing about gold is even if it burns up, it's still gold. And if you can retrieve it from a house fire, you still have that gold. One of the big problems, though, with cash and precious metals is that they can be stolen. And so you want to make sure that you make this a very secure place to put this, because that's the one thing you don't want, is for this to be taken from you. Pre-1971, the dollar was backed in gold, and it gave the government a secure depository of gold in Fort Knox, and it backed the U.S. dollar. But in '71, that was taken away. There's a lot of arguments about let's go back to the gold standard, and what's really crazy is a lot of countries are. If you've heard of BRICS, which is China, Russia, Turkey, India, Iran, a number of different countries, they are investing heavily in gold, and they're backing their currency in gold. In fact, the central banks of a lot of different nations have been buying up gold, up to 62 metric tons last year. China purchased 132 metric tons. So you can see that there are a lot of nations right now that are trying to get away, honestly, from the U.S. dollar. And the U.S. dollar is the world currency. Guys, if we lose that status of the world currency, we can no longer print money, which could be a good thing in some ways, but it's going to make your dollar valueless. So what are some reasons to invest in precious metals? Well, precious metals typically hold their value. And during a time of really bad inflation, even recession, gold retains its value. But also in international turmoil. If you see a lot of things going on internationally, trade wars, all-out wars, trade disruptions, gold and silver typically are purchased to be able to hedge against that. As we've seen, the war in the Middle East that's going on right now in Gaza, but now it's spread over between Israel and Iran. And we're waiting to see what's going to happen with that. But you also have Ukraine, and you also have other smaller escalations that are going on around the world. A lot of saber rattling with Russia. Europe's in a turmoil. And so right now, honestly, is a great time and a reason why we're seeing the prices of gold go up. When the Fed cuts its interest rates, that's another time when we see the price of gold going up. Oil prices. And we're getting ready to see that with the conflict between Israel and Iran. It's going to cause a lot of problems with oil production, and it could quadruple in price. Also, we've seen over the past year a lot of bank failures. A lot of big banks here in the U.S., even one of the major Swiss banks had a failure. And that just really tends to cut the confidence of people when they're investing their money in these banks. One phenomena that's really unique is Costco. Costco's been selling gold. And last quarter, they sold over $100 million in gold. Over the past 2 weeks, they've sold $200 million in gold. Individuals are buying gold, again, just like China, Russia, India, and a lot of these different nations that are backing their currency with gold. It's really smart for us as individuals to back our currency with gold. You take the gold and you buy it. Now, a lot of people wonder, say, what do you do when you buy this gold? How do you get rid of it? Amazon, eBay, going to flea markets, you can even do it, not so much with an auction because they charge premiums. But there's a lot of ways to be able to turn your gold loose. In fact, the place that I do buy my precious metals, it's a local place, and they buy it in bulk. And so I go up when I have a little extra money, and I'll pick up some silver or gold, and they'll buy it back at a very reasonable price, a good price to where they're just gaining a little bit. But this is the big thing, guys. This isn't about investing. This is, again, about protecting your wealth. I'm not really watching the price of gold to determine what kind of value I have. I'm hedging my bets against problems that may happen in the future and which are looking and shaping up to be a problem. Here in the U.S., we've had a lot of financial turmoil, and then again, around the world. It makes you kind of look and say, it'd be great to have a tangible asset that is recognized to be able to have it. In fact, Bank of America has just predicted that gold will rise up to $3,000 an ounce by 2025. And when it comes to silver, silver's actually much cheaper. Again, around the $28 an ounce mark. It's much easier to get into. You don't have to put out a whole lot of money for a small amount of gold. And so you can purchase actually quite a bit of silver. But the problem with silver is that it's going to be more bulky and it's going to be just heavier than your gold. So if you really want to protect a considerable amount of wealth, your gold's going to be a better bet. But if you want to get into holding on to precious metals, silver is a great option. One of the things about silver is that it's more rare than gold. There's less silver than there is gold. Secondly, silver is used by all kinds of industries. It's used by the automotive industry. It's also used in the medical industry. And so it has other intrinsic value than just to be able to preserve your wealth. And platinum, palladium, those are also metals. In fact, platinum I think is staying under the $1,000 mark. Platinum used to be considerably higher than gold. But there are some industrial uses for platinum as well. And what's funny is copper has really risen. Even though copper's not a precious metal, the price per pound and ounce has really gone up over the past couple of months. Let's talk about silver first. Silver is easier to get into. It just costs less. Again, it's running about the $28 range, and of course give and take because the markets fluctuate. But I buy my silver in some different ways. One that I primarily do is junk silver. These are actually U.S. coins. They're minted here in the U.S. They were used up until 1964 with 90% silver. It's really about the face value rather than what they call the numismatic value, which is collectible coins. I have a good friend of mine that buys collectible dollars and collectible silver and even gold, and he watches the price fluctuate here and there, but that takes a lot of time and energy. And so for me, I like to just stick with what I know. And just having the bulk type silver or the junk silver to me is a great way to be able to stock up at a very reasonable price. But it is 90%. A lot of people, and I'm included, like to go with the Liberties, the walking Liberties, and this is a silver dollar. This is actually made by the U.S. Mint, and it comes in different denominations. Typically, I buy the highest denomination because otherwise you're paying what they call fractions. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to gold. But buying smaller increments of silver, especially minted silver, and this typically costs you more money. For one thing, it's 99.99% silver, whereas your coins, again, are 90% silver. But they do make a number of different coins. A lot of companies will mint different coins. Here's a Don't Tread on Me coin that was given to me. It's 99.99% silver. And so whatever you do with your silver, the one thing I like about it is that it has it marked on the coin. With these coins, this is something that's well known. The U.S. currency, people know that this is a dime. They can tell that it's 64 or below, 1964 or below, and so they know that this is 90% silver. With some of the other items that we have, you may or may not know that it's actual silver. It could be a counterfeit. These are going to be more difficult to counterfeit because they are original coins. Now, some people want to get into bullion. This is 10 ounces. You know, it's a small compact package, but yet it has weight to it. These are from Scottsdale Mint. They've been friends of mine for a long time. And while this is not a commercial, this is just a very trusted company that I really like. And the guys at Scottsdale Mint, I've known them for about 12 years now. And they are great people. And they actually mint coins for over 20 countries. And they're out of Arizona. But they do a lot of different coins. They do the rounds, they do the bars, they do the bullion type bars. And so you can get a lot of different options, but they also have gold and other things. And one thing about it is you need to have somebody that you trust. Where I do buy my gold and silver, which is Upstate Gold here in Greenville, South Carolina, those guys are just great to deal with, and I trust them. And so when I have a little extra cash, I go by and pick up some silver. I may pick up some rounds like this. But if I really want to spend some money and I've got a little extra, I will get in touch with Scottsdale Mint and they'll hook me up. And this is a really great resource because they're so trusted. This is actually a silver 45 ACP bullet, and it's pure silver. It's actually 1 ounce. So there's some different ways to collect silver. Especially if you have, younger people. And one of the things that I like to do is give my kids silver on occasion, like birthdays, Christmas, and I'll just give them a little bit with other things. But it's really nice. These run about a little over $30 per ounce. This is higher than the spot price, and that's one of the things you're going to find out, is that these have to be minted, they have to be shipped, they have to be sold by the retailer. So there are some price increases that you're going to end up paying, which is just part of the process of the business. Again, if you're looking to invest and make some money on it, it's going to be more of a long-term situation. Most of this silver I bought at $5 an ounce. Yes, $5 an ounce. Now it's at $28 an ounce. It's dipped back and forth, but the fact is my investment is growing. But whether it is or not, if the dollar is not worth anything, this is. And that's really the critical part. Again, this is honestly just for preppers or those who are concerned about the financial stability of our world. Again, silver is used in industry. There's less silver than there is gold. And so the trend could be that silver is going to outpace gold. It'll never be quite as expensive as gold, but it can really get up to $50 an ounce. And that's one of the things they're predicting. But I do want to make a disclaimer that this can go down, but over the long term, it will continue to go up. Now, I just want to say a couple of things about junk silver. One of the big things, again, is that this is just recognizable. I mean, anybody knows that this is a $50, and there are values attached to that according to the price of silver. And back in 2008, there were actual shops that opened up, put signs in the windows that they did take silver as currency or to barter. So this is a great way to be able to barter. You can get a lot of different items. And one of the things about bartering is that if you have a shovel and the guy has a chicken and you want to trade, he may not want the shovel. And so you need to make sure that you have something that's uniform value that everyone knows that has value. I will say here that there will be some that'll say, well, I invest in lead, brass, and steel. I agree, and I do too. But sometimes there may be some restrictions on who you can trade with ammunition and guns. Silver is going to be a universal way that you can buy and sell. Now, when it comes to gold, the best price is going to be your 1 ounce or even bullion. You're going to get it for just a little bit less because the premiums are cheaper. One of the things about like quarter ounces, and it takes 4 of these to make an ounce, but there are premiums on this to where this just costs you extra money. Now, one of the benefits for having fractions is that you can go and buy a quarter ounce for a lot less than you can buy a solid ounce. And so you may be getting into something and you say, I've only got so much money, how can I buy some gold? This is a great way to do it, but you will pay a little extra. But one of the things that I'm big about is I'm not, again, necessarily trying to get it and concerned even about the price at the time. I want to make sure that I have it available because I'm really looking to use this if things get really bad, not just a little downturn in the economy. Also, you can buy some of the foreign coins. This is actually an English 25 pound. And so you can sometimes buy coins from other countries that are considerably less. I know the Cougaran a lot of times is very reasonable compared to the Walking Liberty, which tends to bring a premium. So that is one thing about buying coins, is if you want gold, you want the physical gold to hold on to, don't be afraid to get the coins from other countries. Also, there are companies like Acre Gold, and I've done some business previously with these guys, and they have a subscription service to where you just pay $50 a month or $100 a month, and then when you get to a certain threshold, they'll send you gold. This is 2.5 grams, and so you can just get this, you have it set aside, and you have it to where you can buy it. Now these little wafers are actually 1/100th of an ounce, and these are from Scottsdale Mint, but again, these are very reasonable in price to get into gold. The problem is though, is it's more expensive once you get 100 of these compared to your ounce. This is going to cost you more per ounce. But then again, if you can't afford this, this gets you up to where you could have an ounce. It'd just be in small little increments. One of the things too I like about these small increments is that I can sell those, barter, trade with them a lot easier than bringing out just a solid 1 ounce gold piece. Something's going to have a lot of value for me to do this, and it's one of the reasons why I like smaller denominations, and that includes in silver. I like to buy the dimes, the quarters, the half dollars. When it gets to the silver dollars, typically they're a little more expensive. So buying fractionals does have a place, but you're going to pay a little extra. And again, there's nothing wrong with a good Cougaran when you're looking for gold, and it'll cost you a little bit less than your Walking Liberty. Guys, in a world of electronic banking, having access to cash is going to be important. Even a short grid down where the power goes out or something happens, having some cash on hand is going to be really vital, because when ATMs and credit card machines aren't working. But for a really grid down situation, having some precious metals put back, because that dollar is getting eaten up by inflation. And so here we have tangible gold and silver, and again, platinum, palladium, that we can invest in, and what it'll do is just protect our wealth. Is this going to make you rich? Well, in a grid down situation, it'll definitely put you in a lot better shape. Again, this is not something that I'm recommending that you necessarily invest in. This is honestly just investing in your future and not your financial portfolio. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. And make this $20 bill worth less and less every time